Hi, I'm Callie King from CRK Training, and we've got a really special interview for you today because I am here with Tina O'Connor, who is a licensed therapist. She has been working in this field for over 12 years, and today I'm going to talk to her about rider anxiety. So we're going to talk about, when you have fear when you're riding, what causes that, what it looks like, and we're going to also, Tina's going to give you some strategies for hopefully overcoming that anxiety and making your riding a better experience again. So I guess let's just start with what, from a psychology standpoint, what is anxiety, what is fear, and what does that kind of look like?
Well, anxiety and fear, some people use those words interchangeably, and they really are two separate things. Definitely fear and anxiety are both emotions, but for most people the fear is something that's inside of them, and the way that it comes out in physical symptoms or with their thinking would then be anxiety. So it could be fear of lots of different things. When you're talking, of course, about riding a horse, it could be the size of the horse, it could be this is the first time I've ever ridden this horse, so fear of the unknown. What's really going to happen when I get on this horse? How do I even relate to this horse? Why is this important to me? So all of those things generate fear for someone. They also generate that anxiety. And the anxiety, of course, can come out in lots of different ways. It could even be something as simple as shaking. It could be more sweating that somebody is doing. It could be racing thoughts. It could be a pounding heart. It could be, I'm absolutely not going to be able to get on this horse, but I still want to try anyway. So that fear and that anxiety come out in lots of different ways.
Yeah, and this is such an important topic for horseback riders because as riders, obviously, when we have the things that you just talked about, that totally freaks the horse out. And even if you feel like you don't have the racing heart, but your thoughts are just going, like you mentioned, we know our horses can totally pick up on that, and they feed off our anxiety. So the next question I want to ask you is, what are some of the most common causes of anxiety, just generally in life for people?
The most common forms of anxiety, I think, are if we've experienced something in our past, whether it was a trauma, whether it has a trauma related to a horse, or it could have been another type of trauma that we've gone through. I think generally speaking, we approach life with more fear and with more anxiety. Fear of the unknown for a lot of people. Even someone who's grown up in a home with maybe drug and alcohol use, they're going to approach life a whole lot differently than someone who's grown up in a home where they felt loved and accepted. The other things that might create that is if they have had a traumatic experience with a horse, whether as a child, a teenager, or they started riding a horse and it didn't go well. So then they're going to have a tougher time getting right back on that horse and what's going to happen. And as you've mentioned, and I agree with you, is the horse picks up on that, and if the horse doesn't feel safe with you, the whole experience is not going to be a pleasant one. So it is really important that the best that someone can, even if it takes until they start their horse riding lessons, they figure out a way to manage the fear and anxiety that they're having so that they can have a more pleasant experience. The horse can have a more pleasant experience, and they can actually connect with this horse and make it something enjoyable for both of them. Yeah,
absolutely. So what I kind of understood there is that we can have anxiety from things that just relate to our riding, from like the fear of the unknown, if we're if you're new to riding, or even if you're just you're jumping higher, you're going faster than you were before, but that also anxiety can be more just general life stuff or personal stuff that you have going on.
Women in particular, I have found that if they have a tough time standing up for themselves, if they have a tough time saying no, if they're just, I don't even want to say passive in nature, because I think a lot of women who can be a little bit more assertive still when they come into contact with that horse and understand that, oh, this is up to me how I make this be, and I have to be in control, but I have to be in control in a healthy way.
Yeah.
What a learning experience that becomes, because then that woman has to dig down deep inside to understand, why do I always need to be in control? What is it about my life? What is it about either the relationship or the work environment that I'm in right now that I do have a difficult time taking that really deep breath and saying, no, this is up to me, and it is okay for me to value myself. It's okay for me to say, nope, this is not the way that we're going today. This is the way we're going today. And I think in working with clients that I've talked to who ride horses, that is the biggest issue that I have run into. Taking that deep breath and reminding themselves they are in charge. And it is okay for them to say no. Yeah, and that's actually huge for us riders, because I think, especially you said for a lot of women too, you know, a lot of us kind of have more that personality that we want everyone to be happy and we want everything to be okay. And as I've mentioned before, as you guys know, in the training tapes or the training videos, there's definitely times with our horses that we need to set those boundaries, just like sometimes we need to do with other people in our life. Yes.
So that's, you know, that's something that's definitely going to come up with horses.
Oh, most definitely, especially women who are, you know, have families and or run businesses, and they have coworkers or employees. It's like, oh, again, I want, like you said, I want everybody to be happy, but that usually means I have to set aside myself. And as I'm understanding from you, that's different when it comes to a horse. The rider has to be in charge, otherwise the horse is going to start feeling that fear as well and start exhibiting anxiety. Yeah, that's totally true, because especially when we're all this talk about being leaders with our horses and, you know, kind of having that leadership role, because horses are obviously their herd animal and they really kind of work off of that pecking order mentality. So to have that leadership position, we need to embody, like you just said, kind of that confidence and that self-assurance that the horse can follow you as a leader, because obviously the horse is not going to follow someone that has kind of that inner turmoil, or is that, you know, that doesn't have that that self-assurance and that kind of leadership aura. So that's important with the horses too. That's very interesting. I never even thought about that as the horse is looking for us to be in charge. And that's, again, thinking about women who have a tough time standing up for themselves because they want to make everybody happy. Again, what a learning experience for them, that this is a perfect opportunity for them to practice being in control in a very healthy way. In a very healthy way. Not manipulating anything, but all right, that self-assurance, that confidence, I can do this. And the horse is going to follow right along. Yep, they are. And actually, horses are so good for a lot of that, you know, just kind of like personal development stuff, because they make you tackle things that you might be experiencing in other places of life. And I've noticed that for myself too, and it's cool how the horses can work in that realm. But I guess to kind of move on, so, you know, I'm getting ready to ride, I'm feeling anxious, I've got those butterflies, and, you know, the head's racing with the worst case scenarios and so on. What are the best practices for how can I calm myself down so that I can be that leader and, you know, kind of embody everything we've been talking about? One of the best things that I have found for anxiety, and one of the first things that we forget to do as human beings, is breathe. We don't even realize when we're starting to feel that fear and anxiety, we don't even realize that we've stopped breathing. So one of the best things to do is to practice breathing, but breathing very mindfully and very deeply, because when we breathe shallowly, when we're starting to panic, that actually increases our feelings of anxiety. So we want to practice that breathing deeply. So you breathe in through your nose for a couple of counts, however you want, however long you feel that needs to be. For a lot of people, for my clients, I suggest, you know, you put your hand on your belly, and when you feel that air hit your hand, hold it, and then breathe out. But you breathe in through your nose, feel it here in your belly, and then you breathe out slowly through your mouth for the same number of counts.
Okay.
So that's the best thing that you can do when you're feeling anxiety. So I'm thinking about someone who's actually driving to their lesson. You can breathe deeply anywhere. You can do that in the car. You can do that as you're walking to where your horse is. You can do that anytime. The other tool that works well for anxiety is practicing a visualization. And a visualization would be picturing a place in your mind where you've either been to or would like to go, where you feel peace and calm. And you picture that place in as much detail as possible. And you want to picture that place in your mind until you can feel your shoulders coming out of your ears, and you can feel that sense of peace and calm coming over you. And the only time I would suggest not practicing a visualization, of course, is when you're driving. But any other time, again, you know, first thing in the morning, I know I have my riding lesson today. So I have to start with the breathing. I have to practice that visualization, because I know that time, if I'm letting my thoughts get out of control, all I'm going to do when I get there is I'm going to feel anxious and I'm going to feel fearful. So I want to start doing that in the morning. And then the other tool that I really like, that again you can practice anywhere, anytime, are positive affirmations. And especially if your symptom of anxiety is racing thoughts or lack of confidence, those positive affirmations, something as simple as I am enough. I can do this. This is my goal for today, and this is all I want to accomplish. And have that be running through your mind, again, as soon as you get up in the morning until your riding lesson. Because again, that focuses your brain, and it really is true. The more positive I can think, it's going to influence that positive behavior. It's going to transfer over to the horse that I'm riding. Because again, the opposite's going to be true. If I'm thinking negatively, it's going to affect my day, and I'm going to transfer that as well. So I want to make the effort to transfer that confidence and transfer that calm and peace to my horse while I'm riding him or her.
Yeah, and actually I love what you said about the visualization, because I know for myself, I've used visualization as far as like I'll think through, you know, what I want to do on the horse, and I'll picture myself doing it correctly. But I never thought of actually using it too, as just to picture kind of a calm, relaxing place to get, you know, like you said, the shoulders dropping, and to let yourself relax too. That's really good.
Most people choose nature. A lot of people like the ocean or the beach. Some people choose the mountains. But I actually like what you said too, because that's important to picture yourself being successful in what that looks like. Because again, the more we can do that, we're going to see that actually become. Same thing with positive affirmations. Even if you use the positive affirmation, I am enough, even if we don't actually believe it at this moment, eventually we are going to believe it. So it's something, again, that you're reaching towards. So yeah, and I found that visualizations really calm our hearts when I can get back to that place of calm and peacefulness. And it makes a difference, even if it's only making a difference for 5 minutes. Eventually it's going to make a difference for a long time.
Yeah, that's great. And the breathing too, what I was thinking of when you were talking about the breathing is that we as riders too, it's so important to breathe with the movement of the horse. Like when you're riding, you know, you have to have kind of that steady breath. It's a little bit similar to like yoga, how you kind of breathe through the positions. With riding, and especially if you're, you know, working on dressage or kind of that that work where you're really trying to get that partnership and that, you know, unity with the horse as you're riding, the breath is really important. So I think if you can use that breathing for your anxiety, it's going to help just your riding. It's going to help your horse's movement too.
Nice.
So that's a good point. So there is one more question that I would love to talk about, and that is if someone has had a traumatic event. So, you know, I run into this a lot with students. They've had a really bad fall. They may have been injured, or it was just really scary, as falls off a horse can be. The strategies that we just talked about for reducing anxiety, would they be the same, or is there anything else that someone that has had trauma could find beneficial?
biggest issue that I have found when people struggle with fear and anxiety is they want to avoid the situation. And one of the things that I am always encouraging people with anxiety is to not avoid it, to face it head on. Use those same techniques that we've talked about, the deep breathing, the visualization, especially the positive affirmations. Develop a positive affirmation around the specific situation, but to actually get back up on the horse. But do it in steps. So again, as it might be, okay, today I'm just going to groom my horse. Today I'm just going to feed my horse a treat. Today I'm just going to get close to the horse and pet the horse. Today I'm actually going to get up on the horse. So whatever those steps look like, to actually put those steps into practice, not actually get right back up on the horse, but to do it in steps. And then during each step, giving them credit, giving themselves credit, the trainer giving them credit. You did accomplish this. You're doing a great job. The whole time doing the deep breathing and, all right, I can do this. I know that I can do this. Pulling from that confidence, not pulling from that fear or that anxiety. But definitely, if it's something that's important to you, get right back up on the horse, start to ride the horse. Even if it's not something that you want to actually ever do again, do it anyway, because it's going to transfer over into other parts of your life. Because if you have fear about riding a horse because you were thrown off that horse, or whatever happened, the horse got out of control, that again is going to apply to another part of your life. So even if you can accomplish some of those steps with that horse, you can again transfer it over to whatever other fear you might be experiencing in other areas of your life.
Yeah, I think that's really good, and I think it kind of goes along with another point that I was thinking about as we're going through here, which is it's so good to just kind of acknowledge, I think, that a lot of people work through these anxiety issues, whether it's, a lot of us riders have had some kind of a riding trauma. It seems like everybody falls off at some point. And, so we kind of have that, there might be all these underlying issues. And, it's good to address it, and it's good to think about it in a positive way, not just try to sweep it under the rug.
Right. So again, facing that issue, and however it is that person chooses to face that issue, if that's enough for them, then that's enough. And being able to give themselves credit for what they've accomplished. So again, that goal is going to be really important, a short-term goal, a long-term goal, but just being able to face the issue, not avoiding it, because the avoiding it is just going to increase the anxiety and make it easier to keep avoiding it.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense, and thank you for answering that last one. What I want to do now is turn it over to you guys, and leave a comment below the video and just share which of the different strategies that we talked about for reducing anxiety. Share which of them you like the most, or which of them works best. And if you have something that we didn't talk about, definitely share that as well. We'd love to talk to you in the comments and answer any questions that you might have as well. So I want to thank you for doing this interview, and I know we're going to be working together in the future too, so I look forward to that.
I do as well.
Yeah, I think this was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Callie, too. I appreciate it. It's a wonderful learning experience.
Yeah, well, for me too, certainly. All right, thank you guys. We'll see you on the next blog video here at CRK Training.